I don't know how good Jeannie is at lots of things, like actuality, but she thinks she's amazing. And that is the important part.
Well,
you sure
let's
that's not your
face it.
flaw?
I think everyone in this party thinks they're amazing at a lot of things that they aren't.
Like we had the discussion where Jeannie's idea of smart chess play is to equip the knight with a flamethrower.
Yeah, and the
No,
mean
no,
part-
no
bad part
flamethrowers at the
is,
dinner party. Nobody's getting set on fire.
you haven't been to a Veritas dinner party, have you?
Evie is specifically making sure this kind of thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, that is kind of what she's doing.
Is she making sure no one gets stabbed?
Well,
That's specifically the kind of thing that Evie is probably going to be doing.
Is Evie wearing her knives at the table?
she may have one hidden on her just in case. I don't think she's ever without at least one knife.
She hides it in the same place that Pantaloons did, like that. Wouldn't you like to know, please?
I really expected McDohl to call me out on that. I would never allow a player to do that. Just
Yeah, I kept count.
oh yeah, so did Pantaloons. Just
Like, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like to
so
know?
it was like if you ever went to 7 and 8, I would was like, where's that 8th one coming from, Brick Road?
pulled it out off screen. You didn't see it. Pantaloons was a goblin. He probably just poops it out every day. Swallows it in the morning, comes out in the evening.
In the butt, just up the butt. There you go.
I need to find a place to put Pantaloons as an NPC into one of my campaigns.
Why would you do that?
Bring him back.
Oh no, there's a whole thing of barbecue sauce I didn't see. I could have been dipping my tater tots in.
You just drink it straight. Do the shots of BBQ.
I think that was the saddest I have ever heard Destil.
It was like cut in the back of the bag, and it's the same color.
Oh my god.
I mean, Destil's a robot. He doesn't have real emotions, but he's
That
learned
was-
to emulate them very well.
That was the most disappointed I've ever heard you, Destil.
He made me feel sad. And they're not even my tots. Also, you got tots and a baked potato?
Yeah, I don't like any of the other sides. Like their corn is fine, but I prefer the tots or potato.
Potatoes and potatoes.
He's a starch man.
That's American as you can get right there.
Genie.
Labeled M.O. I don't know what it is. Let's find out.
Yep.
So you spend most of the evening in conversation with Abernathy. And he's effortlessly charming. And you do get the sense over the night that he's not putting on a grand show. He's just a noble dandy. This is exactly his element. He lives for these kind of parties. He lives to charm people. He's perfectly pleasant, very easy to talk to. He's not getting in any veiled jibes or insults. That's kind of Donique's job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very pleasant experience. And you're giving as well as you get. You got a 16 on your performance roll. So if you are making any social faux pas or saying the wrong thing or picking up the wrong salad fork or anything of that nature, either you're not making those mistakes or Abernathy is just gracious enough not to point them out. Evie, you managed to get through the dinner without without having to have any kind of real conversation with Donique, nor does anybody seem to notice that you're shying away from her. This is the sort of thing, because you're expected to at least join in the conversation, especially where it pertains to your sister, but you don't catch over the course of the dinner any sidelong glances from Ruby that letting you know that you're going the wrong direction with it. Nor does Donique bring anything up.
I'm just trying to avoid giving her an opening.
And yeah, if you did, she didn't take it.
Also, we lost McDohl.
He's gone forever. He went back to 14.
Yeah, he's decided that.
Oh
14
god, if he disconnects in the game, he might disconnect in real life.
Huh. That's weird.
Or worse, get put at the back of the queue.
Oh, okay. Like we're afraid you didn't lose your spot in 14, did you?
Oh yeah, you're still connected, right?
Victor.
Maybe.
Abernathy tells you that, like, as far as his connections, like business connections, things in Nornir, not his style. He's not a businessman. He's upper crust nobility. The Ambersons obviously have a lot of business in and around Nornir. They are the governors of the province. In fact, I have their lists right here if I can pull them up. Yeah, so they're a very military-minded family. They have a long tradition of proud warfare in their family. They have excellent blacksmiths and armor smiths. They do a lot of shipbuilding because their province has a lot of rivers and long coastlines. And Abernathy is happy to share a lot of these details with you. He doesn't know a lot of the on-the-ground, day-to-day operations. And he tells you flat out that he's really not the type to spread rumors and hearsay. And then he spends the entire rest of the conversation with you gossiping and sharing rumors and hearsay.
The apple doesn't
Very
fall
good.
apart from the tree.
Nornir is a very eclectic and cosmopolitan place, perhaps even more so than Brennanine. It's the largest port in the Republic, and it sits right at the juncture on the southern border of the Republic, where if you go further south, you're into the Kingdom of Endoline, which is a naval power with vast rivers and a lot of coastline, which is where the Holy Church was founded. And then if you were to travel straight east across the ocean from Nornir, you would arrive at basically a free city out in the middle of the ocean. An island that is not claimed by any of the great empires, that has a reputation for kind of being a pirate city. But a lot of trade that crosses the ocean has to go in and around through this port. It's very wealthy and very powerful. So a lot of those elements find their way into Nornir as well. And he's happy to share all kinds of rumors and gossip.
Does he happen to share any rumors or gossip about the whole ultra-conservative church terrorist organization supposedly there?
He doesn't seem to know anything about it.
Okay.
Which makes sense. He's not the guy who's poking around in secret basements in Nornir, like you guys are. There probably are Ambersons that do that sort of work and have that sort of interest, but it is not this man. If this man has class levels, it's noble all the way. Or maybe he's just a sidekick. I don't know.
All right, so lots of rumors, but nothing especially useful to us. Nothing that would relate.
That's gonna depend on whether the campaign ever gets to Nornir or not. Like, you might, if it comes up, you might remind me that you rolled well on this investigation check and you learned some stuff.
All right.
Notably, though, nothing that would blow back on the Ambersons as a family or on Abernathy personally. Which makes sense. He wouldn't share gossip about himself. Edmont, you killed an insight check. Over the course, you don't do a lot to drive discussion yourself. I mean, it's better than Ekon did.
Fair enough.
You don't do a lot to drive the discussion yourself, but getting the measure of Abernathy, you really get the sense that he's exactly what he presents himself as. He's charming. He's a well-meaning man. He's obviously looking to increase his social station by marrying into a greater house. And maybe a little naive in the ways of the world and whatnot. Not that you can talk, considering bandits rode off with all y'all's horses.
Listen, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, he's exactly what he presents himself at. It does seem, however, that he's probably a little more intelligent than he lets on. There are a few moments in conversations where especially Jeannie will say something technical or something that you know bubbles to the surface of her personality because she has a lot of expertise and she spends a lot of her time in her little techno bubble. You get the sense that on some of these topics, Abernathy is listening to be polite, and that she's probably explaining concepts he's already familiar with.
Mhm.
So he's probably a little smarter than he's trying to let on.
I would probably inform Jeannie about it after in private.
Okay, so
After the
nobody starts
yeah,
a
I'm not
food
gonna
fight?
call him. Yeah, I'm not gonna call him out right there at the table.
It's not really something you call somebody out for. It's just there's social graces in play.
Yeah.
Ekon, halfway through dinner, you find barbecue sauce in your bag that you didn't know was there.
God damn it!
A whole gravy boat. Who was just sitting behind the wine bottle.
It's really good, so that makes up for it.
Victor has it all over his fingers and his mouth.
Ekon knows all the good wing places in Brennanine.
Nah, the best wing places are in Dunfoss. I have on good authority. That might be the stupidest NPC I've ever invented.
The wings Nazi.
Yeah, the wing Nazi. Probably not the first NPC I've based on a Seinfeld character, though. Dinner goes really smoothly. Ruby seems very pleased, and at the end of the dinner, Abernathy invites all of you, meaning the immediate party plus Orson, and Trieste and Donique, out onto his boat for a gondola tour around the inner lake. So kind of just around the inner part of the city here.
Would it be rude to say we have other business?
Victor will absolutely go.
Yeah, I can all go too.
Evie, make an insight
Okay.
check.
Uh-huh. 22.
22. Ruby gives you a look.
All right, I guess I have to go on this ugly boat. I give her a look like, you want me to go out of the really ugly boat? Is that what you want?
You give that
So-
look to Ruby?
I don't know if that actually is a look. That probably isn't a look you can convey.
Okay.
Maybe if she has rogue levels, just try Thieves Can't.
What's Thieves Can't for ugly boat?
Victor will thieves can to Evie. You have to see the nipples.
Evie really doesn't want to be seen on the ugly boat, but she looks at Ruby and says she's going to go ride on the ugly boat.
Okay. Is
So-
anybody not riding the ugly boat?
I have a logistical question.
Yep.
Do I think this boat will sink with this many people on it, plus the rowers?
No, it's just preposterous. Because why would you... I mean, it's just not a boat that... It's not built to be pulled by oarsmen, but that's going to be what's required because you can't pull boat in a lake this deep. It's just it's just an engineering snafu. It's just a mismatch between the types of waterways in Brennanine and types of waterways in Nornir. And yes, you will all look ridiculous if you are on this boat pretending to ride around and look at the sights. Like, you guys live here. You're not... But Abernathy really wants to go, and he's very proud of his stupid, terrible boat.
Evie will go as moral support for Jeannie.
I will note that my familiar is still an octopus, so I will summon it into the canal below us.
Okay. So everybody's going out on the boat. This will take up probably into your evening action.
I mean, if Donique and Trieste are on here too, then it's not like they can talk. They can't make fun of us for being on this boat. They're also on the boat.
Probably nobody's going to make fun of you. That would be crass. So
I
the
know
boat
how the people in
itself
the city work.
is... It's a large gondola. And it could be pulled easily by one or two people in shallow water. It doesn't have much of a draft to it. It does have... It's a two-tiered boat. So you have the base of the boat, where he has 6 oarsmen sitting, that actually have to more or less stand up while they're oaring. There's not benches for them to sit. There's not a place for the oar to come through the side of the boat. The boat's just not built for oars at all. But you could easily, comfortably fit a dozen or more people onto into the main section of the floor of the boat. It's just the seating arrangements are such that it's meant to have a pole man at the front or the back or both, and then like comfortable cushioned seats in between, like a luxury boat. And some of that has had to be moved out of the way in order to put 6 oarsmen down. It's going to look silly. But then there's a second tier of the boat, accessible by ladder, where there's much nicer seats, where like the lord and lady might sit, so they could be seen in town, underneath a canopy made out of canvas of the Abernethy house colors, which are, I think, like a green and like a bluish green. So it's fairly comfortable, and once you get into the water, but it's not like you're gliding luxuriously along the water. They're rowing you, so the splashing of the oars is hitting the water and pulling you in jerks and stops as they try to maneuver you around these sections underneath bridges that don't open up. They're not canals, navigating around fishing boats and sailboats that are coming back from the lake for the day's catch.
I guess while we're on this lovely tour, Victor is going to ask Abernathy about the headpiece and his inspiration for it.
Oh, and there's a whole story, because I mean the boat was commissioned by his father for his 15th birthday, and the House Amberson has a long tradition of mythology about how they descended from a race of people that lived in the sea, and you hear all of this family mythology that connects this merman statue to this boat.
He's also going to inquire if Jeannie were to marry you, how would she become represented on this boat?
Jeannie whispers to Ekon, "Ekon, I will give you 20 gold if you push Victor into the lake."
Is Victor wearing any heavy armor?
I would assume nobody's wearing armor right now.
Oh, Ekon is, but Ekon is weird and a cleric.
So, Abernethy directs his answer to the question at Jeannie, saying that if they were to be married, of course, my lady would have whatever mast she likes on her pleasure boat.
Jeannie is like sketching an engine, and then she shows it to him. This is like, it's just like a small engine.
On the front of the boat?
No, in the back, so the engine, so we don't have to have row. And she's like just sketching.
Is Victor standing within 5 feet of the edge of the boat?
Well,
No.
Jeannie and Abernathy are sitting up in the top tier, and everybody else, it's not so high, like you can carry a conversation, you can just look up and speak with them. And there's places up there for people to climb up in, like standing room next to them, but they have the cushioned chairs up top, and you guys have cushioned chairs down below, and just the sound of the oars around you. I would say for practical purposes, everybody's within 5 feet of everybody, if you want to be.
But is Victor within 5 feet of the edge of the boat?
Sure.
Victor, go ahead and give me a DC 13 strength saving throw.
Are you throwing Victor into the lake?
He has telekinesis. He has plausible deniability, even.
He has the psychic ghost hand. Remember?
Victor, do you fall into the lake?
With a roll of a 7.
So, I hope that's not something I would have expected Ekon to do.
I bribed him.
And there is...
I mean, he's 15. He's not exactly the...
This is true, he's 15.
Like, he might be the most responsible member of this party, but that doesn't make him responsible.
How do you push him? Do you elbow him in? Or
Telekinetically.
Telekinetically?
Yeah.
Mage hand.
I only have 5 strength. I'm not going to do that with my body.
Yeah, then all of the commotion on the boat turns to Victor having just fell into the lake. And after a few moments, 2 of the oarsmen come over and help pull you back aboard.
Victor is going to establish a telekinetic link with Jeannie and Ekon.
And Abernathy to his credit, he makes a big show of ensuring that you're okay and that you're not injured.
Victor, as face-savingly as he can, tells it he's all right, and he's not sure what happened. Maybe the number of people on the boat may be a little too much for the rocking, and he's going to tell Jeannie, "Congratulations, you're going to be a fish fucker soon."
The cat claws are coming out.
He tells her telepathically through the
Right.
link.
Oh yeah, no, I understand.
I mean, it's fine. At least I can get laid.
Wow.
Damn.
Do we need to hash out
All
some
these
family
two-part-
stuff before we come out on the boat?
I mean, essentially, like, I don't know, like, Victor is essentially Jeannie and Evie's brother, like, adopted.
Foster
but,
brother,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, foster brother, so that's what this is. They probably
Evie can't
find each
hear
other. Yeah, Evie can't hear this.
And
Maybe can't hear it, but she knows she's giving everyone a glare anyway. She's just glaring at everyone.
He also tells Ekon that I'm telling Platin on you.
Not just being a
I'm
good
pretty
boy.
sure.
I don't know
Oh,
what you're
can't talk
talking
back
about.
over the link. I can't talk back over the link, can I?
Hashtag
Yeah,
Evan didn't
being
do
a-
nothing
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure he'll just find it to be funny.
So, Abernathy has a gracious story about how the first time he was out on his father's pole boat as a child, how he fell over the side trying to get a look into the clear waters of Nornir. And he tells this story in an effort to reduce the embarrassment, get everybody laughing at something other than Victor just falling over the edge randomly. And this has not escaped Victor or Jeannie's notice that Abernathy has done this. And food is presented, fine fruits and cheeses brought up from Nornir, and wine is poured. And unless anybody throws anybody else off the boat, a fine
another
evening is had by all.
I got another 20 gold for you, Ekon. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, Treble, that's enough out of you.
I feel like it would be very funny the second time.
It might be funny, like more funny the second time.
I think it'll get funny again around the fourth or fifth time. I don't have the will for that.
Fourth of the time, it's like an uncanny valley thing.
One of the men aboard the pole boat that you're not specifically introduced to, because he's one of Abernathy's servants, a serving man, 15 years old, named Leetgard. And they don't discuss Leetgard very much because he's a serving man, but he's one of the people, he's the oarsman sitting to Abernathy's right underneath him. So he's the closest man to Abernathy on the boat. And he's one of the ones that offered his oar to Victor to pull him back up into the water. One thing that comes out in the conversation, though, Jeannie, because Jeannie likes to talk about herself and her projects and things, yes?
Maybe not herself so much, but like she gets very excited about the things that her projects.
I mean, you're literally drawing a picture of an engine.
Right, but like I would imagine Jeannie's actually pretty quiet unless she's like one of those people that like is pretty quiet unless she's talking about things that excite her, and then you can't get her to shut up.
Well, what
It's
comes
like
up in
reverse
conversation
gatekeeping.
is Abernathy tells you that his man, Leetgard, had the credentials a few years ago to attend the Bulk School, one of the guild halls that you graduated from. But sadly, not the financial resources. His family, or he's in, well, he doesn't tell you anything about his family. He's a peasant. He doesn't have any resources to attend that sort of school. And doesn't get much of a reaction out of Leetgard. It's just, this is probably the extent of what Abernathy knows about the school you went to where you picked up your Artificer levels and
It's just
that score. It's just a bit of trivia that he knows about one of his serving men.
How much would it cost to graduate from that school?
You have no idea. You're not the person who made those arrangements.
Gotcha.
That's not something that small
peasant
folk
can
would
pay.
have access to.
Yeah. And I guess Jeannie will perk up a little bit and ask him where how did he word it? He had the what?
He had the credentials. He was able to. You would take that to mean that he has some skill or talent with tinkering and machinery and maybe low-level magical relics, the kind of things that you would gain Artificer levels in.
Right. I guess I would just ask him where he picked that up at.
You ask Leakard?
Yeah.
And at this, Abernathy invites him up. And you can tell that the two are very cordial with each other. They've probably known each other since boyhood. And yeah, you learn that Leakard is an orphan boy and that he was taken in by the Ambersons as a servant. And these are just... we've established artificers are very common in this world. They're the most common type of spellcaster. And having access to working and serving in a house of high nobility in Mendelin, he had some exposure to their house relics and things, and he had showed some aptitude for them. But when it came to whether or not he was going to attend this particular school, there's just no reason for the Ambersons to send him off. There's really no benefit to them. It's like Harry Potter if Hagrid never went and collected him.
Mm-hmm. Does he have a wrench-shaped scar on his forehead?
I hate it. I hate everything about it.
And when that aspect of the conversation starts to wear, Abernathy thanks Leakard and has him return to his duties, rowing the boat for you.
So, Abernathy, what's your favorite part of the city so far?
Oh, and he very charmingly answers picks up Jeannie's hand and kisses it lightly and says, "There is no contest that my lady is the most beautiful part of Brennanine that I have yet been exposed to."
That's good to hear. Do you know that she is an expert marksman?
I am.
Evie glares at Victor in a way that implies violence.
You see, like when he says that, like I get this, like the sense that like Victor's behind Jeannie, and like saying this, and like Evie's on the other side, and like Evie sees like Jeannie's face, just like she just squints her eyes, like I can't believe he said that.
You can
Trieste
feel the
rescues you
electricity.
from the comment by pointing out that expert is perhaps being polite, although Jeannie and I are taking marksman's lessons from one of my father's men. And then the conversation turns towards that for a few moments.
Do you shoot, Mr. Abernathy?
He tells you that he has no skill for things like that.
Oh, I think that would be a wonderful way to get to know Jeannie if you go shooting with her for a day. Perhaps you could make a picnic out of it.
Evie taps the side of her head at Victor very, very insistently.
What does Jeannie think about that suggestion?
We can discuss it later.
And telepathically, Victor tells Jeannie, "I'm trying to give you an out here."
Sounds like you're trying to get him shot.
Like we'll discuss it later.
Are Edmund and Ekon attempting to accomplish anything else over the course of the boat ride?
No, I already think I accomplished plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, Edmund is trying to just kind of get a feel for the. Well, I guess I already did. He seems. I just don't know of a way that that Edmund would feel comfortable, leading probing questions that would get him to out himself.
You're probably strong enough.
Like, he's
to throw
not
Victor
that
in the lake.
socially graceful. You know what I mean? Like, there's things I want to do, but want and able are two different things.
Other than exchanging just short pleasantries with Abernathy. I mean, nothing wrong with that. You're not the man he's here to see.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeannie is very, very clear, very, very happy with Edmont because he's not making an ass of himself like Victor is.
Victor's gonna get lit on fire later, isn't he? That's one of the things your little turret can do.
Yep.
Yes.
Light people on fire. And we've established they can walk.
They can climb. They have a climb speed. They can climb up into your room. Like, that's what she's doing. Like she's like to the telepathic link that lasts a number of hours. Victor is just spewing bullshit out of his mouth, and Jeannie is like threatening him with bodily violence, like just internally while keeping a smile on her face.
And that
Jeannie-
just encourages Victor.
Jeannie and Evie, make me an insight check.
Sure.
It's not great. Let's see.
I got 17.
17?
Insight. I actually think I am trained on this. 13. Yes.
Yes,
Haha.
but I got.
Evie,
Yes.
you notice quite clearly that Abernathy is very pointedly not rising to any of Victor's comments.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost certainly aware of them, of the kinds of things Victor might be trying to do. But he's not, I guess sinking would be a better word.
He's spent a lot of time with the sisters, I can see. He's been practicing this. He's had a lot of experience.
Maybe not, this all seems to come very effortlessly to him. He's just very well skilled in social graces.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the night, as the ridiculous boat comes splashing back around to the place, you see a large contingent of men outside the inn that the Amberson crew has basically rented out this entire building. And very swiftly, one of these men, almost hurriedly, like barely even waits for the boat to be lashed up to the pier, hops across, and without waiting to be greeted or invited, takes the ladder up to the top to where Jeannie and Abernathy are sitting. And I'll allow Jeannie to roll a perception check here.
That's gonna perception. It's 6.
A 6. You don't hear what the man whispers when he leans in to Abernathy. But whatever he whispered, what's your passive insight?
My passive insight is 13.
13. For a moment, you see his face go flush. And then he regains his composure almost immediately. And you don't hear what was whispered to him, but he stands and he says, "My dear friends, my lady, please accept my humble apologies, but other business presses upon my evening. Shall I see you on the morrow?"
I think that would be wonderful.
He's not talking to you, motherfucker.
I just reach behind and go. I give him a.
You would think Victor's the one marrying this guy.
I give Abernathy. That's his name, right?
Yes.
I
You
give
don't even know his
Abernathy
name.
a winning smile. Say yes, and then I turn around and I just punch Victor in the face.
Well, you have to literally punch downward because he's down in the boat below you.
Well, that should give her advantage.
What, you sock Victor in the nose?
It's just
Victor
turn around.
attempts to dodge.
I just turn.
Victor,
I just
do you
turn,
get
I just.
do you get hit by this punch?
He's going to attempt to dodge.
Evie gives you advantage on this punch.
I mean, that's like a. I don't know. It's like a 10 to hit. It's not.
That's not gonna hit.
He falls back into his seat, though, at the effort.
And Trieste and Donique have a moment where they're tittering at the display when Jeannie throws a punch. The rest of you down in the boat Especially, who has the highest passive perception? Would be Edmont down there? Not Victor, because Victor is preoccupied.
Passive insight
Got
or
a 15.
A 15
My passive insight is 16. Or do you want perception?
perception.
My passive perception is 14.
Okay. So Evie and Edmont, you both notice. I mean, you see the punch clearly. It's the centerpiece of what's happening on the boat, and it's Trieste and Donique begin politely tittering at the scene. Abernathy scarcely seems to have noticed it. Very hurriedly comes down the ladder, and when Trieste and Donique see how quickly he's moving towards the pier, the tittering comes to a stop. And they very politely, but with some expediency, say their goodbyes of you and join him, leaving from the ugly boat. 3 of the oarsmen, I mean, they have jobs to do. Get the boat tied up. 2 of them are probably going to stay out here and guarding it. Leetgard goes inside the inn with the Ambersons. And after just a moment, the night seems to have come to a very abrupt end.
Evie will thank the oarsmen for their service and politely exit the boat
Okay.
and wait for her party to assemble.
That actually went very well, and I can tell you that Jeannie's first impressions of this man are actually fairly positive.
Yeah, if you talk to Evie, she's like, I'm not getting anything nefarious, but I'm getting the sense that there is more to this man than he is letting on.
agreed.
Especially considering the obviously some sort of business has gotten not only his attention but his cousins as well.
What do you think?
To get those two to put aside what would be a delightful piece of gossip that they are going to be talking to everyone about and drop that immediately, it's something big.
Are you guys having this conversation kind of on your way back to Veritas Manor?
We'll
Yeah.
do it out of the earshot of the Ambersons' men, of course.
Yeah. Victor will kind of look at Evie and go, "Should we go investigate?"
Well, as you're walking back to the house, you're having this conversation, and you notice on the streets more and more people, serving men of the Amberson household. People that, especially Jeannie and Evie, might have met, having spent days on their estate here and there. And just about the time you arrive at your manor, you notice a cart, a wheelhouse, being pulled through the street that you immediately recognize as being Speaker Amberson's wheelhouse, moving from the Amberson estate down to where the inn where Abernathy is staying. And you just make way for them, so not unless you want to stand in the street and get bowled over. I mean, anything's possible.
How long does it take to summon a familiar?
Isn't it like an hour? It's like a short rest.
It's an hour. Yeah.
Evie has a familiar.
I was going to summon a spider. Like a hawk isn't going to be inconspicuous.
Okay, so that was the speaker of House Amberson. Whatever's going on is huge.
Speaker Violo.
Do you think we should go investigate?
I think that making our presence known there would be very disruptive and perhaps seen as rude, but we need to figure. There's got to be some other way that we can hear about what happened.
And you don't.
Yeah, that makes.
It doesn't escape your notice that standing in the yard of the Veritas Manor as you guys return home, one of Ruby and Cormac's serving men are standing outside, along with Orson and Denny.
I thought Orson was with us.
Oh, you're right, Orson went with you. But Denny and one of his men out in the yard as well, watching with some interest all these members of House Amberson in this wheelhouse clacking down the street across the cobbles.
Denny, are we back in the estate yet?
Yeah, you guys have arrived back at the estate at this point.
Denny, what's going on?
He shakes his head. Something with Speaker Amberson.
So, question background. There was a war brewing, or some kind of fight in the city where Abernathy's from, right?
You're talking about the cultists that you had uncovered?
Well, no, there was a nation that was there was talk that they may have been preparing for war, I think.
Yeah, you had uncovered that in the cultist documentation, in the correspondence you found. One here, let me get out the... I almost just loaded up the Flumph of the Wild World map. It's so similar to this one. So
Just go back to Wizard's Folly.
Nornir would be here. This is a peninsula that pokes up in Mendelin. So you have this big bay here, and then this river. If Abernethy came, he must have rowed this stupid boat all the way up this river to Brennanine. That must be how he arrived. But south of Mendelin, wherever on the other side of this blue line, this very light blue line you see, is the kingdom of Endoline. And apparently one of the chapters of the Hand of Fire, who had been in correspondence with the people you uncovered in Brennanine, have uncovered perhaps a plot that there are military designs on Endoline's behalf in Nornir. And so far, the people in Brennanine had not responded because some assholes bought the house over their secret cave and kidnapped their librarian, and...
We let her go.
That's really unfortunate.
She's on a farm now with that
Okay,
guy from Flumph of the Wild.
So that is definitely the kind of thing that would get the speaker's attention. That would freak out their whole family, but we need more information.
This was information we shared with... I mean, Ruby knows about this, right? This
Does she?
information we... I don't know.
That's
what
up to
I'm
you
asking.
guys.
I think we only deciphered the... I was the one that deciphered the message, right?
Yeah,
So it's up to Ekon, I think.
there were
We
two
might not even
messages.
know.
There was one that had come from Nornir that
Yeah.
had been arrived, and there was another one that was in the process of being drafted, but had not yet been sent. It was
Yep.
only like half a message.
I think I would have given that to Ruby.
Okay.
I think I would have said, "Hey, look, we found this. I think this is the proper way to read it. It's probably a little bit above my pay grade to figure out what to do with this."
I mean, political bullshit's Ruby's job. So
And
Right.
she-
I mean, like my pay grade is dealing with cultists. Her pay grade is dealing with assassinations.
And this is something that she would probably keep her hands well away from.
Okay.
Militarily speaking, this is one of the reasons that House Amberson has a strong military tradition. Because there was a lot of conflict between Endoline and the Republic after the schism that sent the Holy Church north. Once the Republic became the Holy Republic, Endoline spent many years essentially crusading with very little success. But the people of Mendelin felt most of the brunt of that, sharing the river borders to their south. So if you had brought this to Ruby, she might have just... Her basic response would have been, it's saber rattling and it's not our problem in any event. Maybe if Jeannie marries this guy, we are bound by honor and family to do something if called upon. But that's the state of things. Everybody sees the Ambersons meeting up at this inn, and nobody knows anything more about it. How would you guys like to spend your evening?
Summoning spiders and spying.
Okay.
I have 9 castings worth of find incense for find familiars. Just let me know how many of them each of you want. Like, how many of those are we using right now?
I think Victor just needs 1 to get a spider.
So Victor's sending a spider into where? Into the 7 served pie?
What Victor is actually going to do, the inn is in like a normal neighborhood area, right?
Kind of. The inn sits on a road that where across the road, instead of there being more buildings, is basically a wharf area. So he's got his big stupid boat tied up at the pier, and then the inn overlooks that pier across the thoroughfare.
So, as people who grew up in nobleness, would any of us have the first clue about fishing?
That's up to you. I don't think there's actually a fishing proficiency in this. Oh, you know what? No, that's not true. If you're trained in survival, you know how to fish.
Would
And
we know
fishing's
that?
not that hard. You might be able to figure it out.
Okay, because what Victor would like to do is to go down to the wharf with a little fishing rod and sit there and pretend to fish while the spider goes and tries to check out what's going on.
Okay. It might look strange if Victor goes down there dressed as a man of House Veritas, just fishing. In the
No,
woods.
he's gonna dress in commoner clothing.
Okay, so let me take this down.
So Victor's the only one who needs to summon a familiar right now.
Yeah.
How are you disguising yourself?
So
Are you using magic or not? I'll ask that.
No.
Okay.
He's gonna, he's been around the town. He's been walking through the wharfs and walked through some of the lower parts of the city. So he's probably seen how normal people dress.
No, that's fine. But I guess, are you going to be Victor wearing plain clothes, or are we going to call for a disguise kit check here so you don't look like Victor?
Well, Victor has no disguise proficiency, so
Okay.
unless Evie can make him up, he will ask Evie if she can make him up to look less conspicuous.
Evie did buy a disguise kit. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, if Evie can help Victor not look like Victor and just look like a normal person.
Okay, I'll try. Sure.
Evie, go ahead and make that roll, please.
What's the ability for disguise?
It's a tool proficiency, so you'd be proficient in your disguise kit. I would say either dexterity or intelligence would be appropriate here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use dexterity because my dexterity is my best stat and intelligence is one of my worst stats. That's going to be a +5. And that's 12.
Okay. What is Evie doing this evening after making Victor up and sending him out? Because he's just going to be sitting across from the inn so he can send his familiar inside and get reports.
Oh, I'm very intrigued by what's going on with the Ambersons, but it sounds like we have that covered.
Okay. So what are you doing?
So Evie would like to go find Valeri. Is that okay?
I'll go with you, Evie.
Edmont's going as well.
Yep. If you want, if you'll have me along.
I won't stop you, but
Okay.
I'm expecting it's a conversation that's probably going to get salty.
Well, he did send you guys to after a criminal that tried to murder you. So,
What is Jeannie doing
mean-
this evening?
Yeah.
I am going to dress down and go into my lab and finish or continue work on the things that I am doing.
Okay, so you're going to advance the work week there.
Yep.
And what about Ekon?
Ekon walks down to Genie's lab with a huge grin on his face.
Who are you going to collect?
You can owe me. Did you get anything identified yet?
Oh no, I forgot about that. Yeah, I can take the time to identify the stuff.
Okay.
That is.
I figure, how long does that take to cast?
It's 10 minutes. That's. I did prepare identify for that purpose.
And I bought you the pearl, so
Let's see. We have.
if you need any guidances or anything for like Arcana checks?
Well, do I have to? Isn't that the
I
purpose
You
of
just
it?
cast the spell and it identifies it for you.
Okay, so I am going to cast it on potion A.
Oh, yeah, right. I gave these letters and numbers, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
You totes did.
Potion A is the blue, like carbonated
Steaming.
one.
Blue steaming potion.
Is a potion of heroism. That's in the DMG.
Okay.
My brain shut down and was like, heroin. Right.
Potion of heroin.
Potion B.
You drink it and it makes you into an extra on the wire. So casting again on potion B?
I'm going to cast it on everything. Like, even if this cuts into my time, it's like.
It will, because you're spending probably an hour casting all these identify
Right.
spells. Potion B is not a potion.
Okay.
Potion B, this is the green viscous liquid that was being carried by Twist.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Or in Twist. This might be the scariest substance you've ever come across.
Okay.
As far as you can tell, and I mean you're using literal magic, this is a vial of green dragon blood.
Oh.
I'm sorry, not green dragon blood. Emerald dragon blood.
Oh my.
Emerald dragons. Are you trained in history and arcana, both?
Let me see what I'm. Arcana is yes. History is yes.
Okay. Actual information about emerald dragons, I mean, this is all mythology. Nobody in living memory has ever met a dragon. But emerald dragon, what you know about dragons is every type of dragon has a characteristic breath weapon attack. Red dragons breathe fire, black dragons breathe acid, white dragons breathe ice. Emerald dragons breathe madness. So you know what this vial is, but as for what potential use it has, you have no idea. That's because it's going to require experimentation. You can try drinking it, you can try spraying it on your toast, rubbing it on your body, injecting it into somebody. You can go full Frankenstein with it.
How much do you like Amberson?
The problem is you only have one vial of it, and you have no means of getting more that you know of. Anything else?
Yes, we have a scroll case listed on this. Where was the scroll case from? Does anybody remember?
It's from the bandits. I thought we identified the spells on it, or at least one of them was on your
You
spell
had
list.
gotten one from the bandits, and you had gotten one from the underwater portion of the ruins.
I have a
Oh,
scroll.
it's probably the...
The scroll of creation was the first one we got.
That's the bandits, yeah. So this must be the ruins.
So I guess I'll try to identify that scroll.
It is a scroll of counterspell.
Oh. Nice. Okay. And both harpoons
Are +1 spears.
Okay. Oh, Google Docs did not like that.
Yeah, starting a column with pluses. A way to activate the Google data corruption utility.
Okay.
I think we still have the bandit quarterstaff.
Oh yes, and his
You have
his,
that.
His bandit quarterstaff.
It's essentially just his spell focus. It's his version of your house relics, but he's not of a noble house. His relic is not tied to his nobility. However, it has the magic ability where if you are proficient in a particular type of instrument, you can use this quarterstaff to replicate the sort of music that instrument creates by swinging it in particular ways and particular patterns. So
I just bought a new dulcimer
it's a nice novelty item.
yesterday.
Okay.
So functionally, this works as like a house spell focus, and also if you were a bard, you could use this as your musical spell focus.
Okay. All right. We're just gonna call it the musical quarterstaff.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So because I did all that, I do not get to mark down another.
Is that the last
Workday.
magic item you want to cast Identify on? Or you're out of spell slots at that point.
No, I mean it's
Oh, you're using rituals, yeah.
it's a ritual, so yeah.
So you're stopping there?
I think that's the end of the magic items.
That's the end of it. Yeah.
You've got at least
We don't
one
have
more.
anything. We do.
Yeah.
Did you get the glass decanter?
Oh, yeah.
The glass decanter. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One more glass decanter.
Is a decanter of endless water.
That's pretty cool.
That's distressing.
McDohl's such a pessimist.
I mean, I spent the entirety of Flumph of the Wild after I got that wand dousing Razu in water. So
Oh, so he's having Razu
PTSD.
PTSD.
So do you think we should turn the dragon's blood over to the church? I mean, dragons are unseelie creatures.
yeah, but blood is not an unseelie creature. I mean,
Ekon, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you would find that argument unconvincing.
I just like I don't know. I think I could use this for something. Again, that's also probably not a
Right. Like you're using the engine and the cannon?
Oh, I just got the cannon back. I haven't even had a chance to unpack it yet.
You're going to come back 2 days later. She's going to build this horrific psychic robot that pours water everywhere. Evie and Edmont.
Yes.
Yes.
What sort of locale are you looking to find Valerian? Are you going to
Do
his
we know-
apartments or checking his like ale houses that he frequents? Like, where are you looking to have
Yeah.
a conversation with Valeri?
It's
I think a
evening.
public place.
Yeah.
I'd say a public place is probably better because less chance of us getting jumped.
Okay.
I'm not worried that Valeria's going to jump us.
I mean, you know some of his ale houses that he and Lugrin like to frequent. And I mean, Lugrin's at the manor tonight. He's not out and about. But you find Valeria in one, and he greets you both warmly, calls you over to the table, and asks the busty bar wench to bring over another pitcher. He seems like he's in good spirits.
Like, so he's working for the Ambersons, right?
Was hired by Volio Amberson to train his daughter how to shoot,
Like, that's the only thing he does for them?
as far as you know.
Okay, well, he's not acted like the Ambersons got some dreadful news, so I don't think he knows anything about what's going on.
Yeah, one thing you know about Valeria after having arrived in Brennanine is he seems to be doing all kinds of odd jobs. He's putting it together from a lot of different directions at once. He's kind of a jack of all trades sort of creature.
Okay, so Evie, when she's sitting down with him, she will reach into her pouch and pull something that she has assembled from her disguise kit, and it is a perfect goatee.
Okay.
Because this is what he jokingly told her that she needed to do as step one to be like in his instructions. So she puts, you see the disguise kit, she puts a fake beard up to her face and says, "Okay, this is step one.
And he
Next."
slaps his mug on the table. Says, "What happened to Evie? Where did she go? She was here a moment ago."
I don't know.
Indeed.
What did Valeria promise he would do for you if you made a fake beard?
Well, he like I was asking him like, you know, he was making fun of us and saying like we weren't the caliber person he was. So I said, "How do I become that?" And he said, "Step one, grow a perfect goatee."
What's Edmund's
So-
reaction to the goatee business?
I mean, it's Evie like kind of screwing around, but you know she's trying to show she will follow instructions, and is perhaps interested in learning more.
Fair enough. What's Edmund's reaction?
Edmund looks at this and he's just like he's got this bemused expression like, "Oh god, we're gonna get shivved, aren't we?"
Okay, so at that point, Evie will become more like other people around who are going to overhear our conversation. Are we kind of secluded?
That's up to you. Depends on how. I mean, everybody saw the situation with the beard because
Well,
you both
that's
made a
just
big
gonna
show
look-
of it.
That's just going to look funny. Evie's not
Yeah.
worried about that part.
I hope that our unpleasantness of a few weeks ago didn't cause too much offense.
He considers that a moment. He says, "Think nothing of it. I've learned a long time ago to let the offenses of House Veritas roll off of me."
There have been many.
Let's just say that not all of Nigel's family are as amicable as he is.
Evie's pretty sure she knows who that is directed at.
I like people that don't look down on other people.
Oh, indeed.
Listen, I have
Calling
no
out of black.
I have no illusions that I have much to learn, and Edmund rubs the small of his back a little bit.
He turns the conversation to your recent expedition.
Mm-hmm.
Just fishes all around
What's
for
the-
details.
What's Nigel told you?
Oh, he hasn't seen Nigel since you've returned. You guys literally just got back in town yesterday.
Ah,
I don't really see any reason to hold anything back here.
nah.
And he confirms a lot of the kind of same stories that Nigel went into when you gave your report to him. He has a different version of events for some of them. But over the course of the conversation, it does become very clear that if he knows anything about what's going down with the Ambersons, he's not letting it show. He's either ignorant that anything at all is happening, or he's wearing the perfect poker face. He does seem very pleased that Nigel's children are following in his footsteps. Getting some adventuring done on the side.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so at this point, Evie will get down to business. She's like, all right, so Longchin has his location locked down quite tightly and is not letting anyone in. Anyone who tries to get in is likely to get themselves stabbed. You know this guy better than we do, but if we were to try to approach him, he would probably just go to the guards. The only way we are going to get close to him at this point is if someone who knows him were to arrange some kind of meeting.
At this, he sets his mug aside for a moment. He says, truth be told, I'm trying to do as little business with Longchin as possible.
Unfortunately, we don't have that option.
He asks whether you're looking to reach Longchin or reach his warehouse.
We need information about who is trying to kill my family. If he has that information, then unfortunately I need to talk to him.
Truth be told, I don't know about that. It would be the information would be in his records. It would be a matter of sneaking in and inspecting those records. Would it not?
He says, I perhaps have a way to get you inside of the warehouse, undetected.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not pleasant. And it's not dignified.
You're going to put us in a crate, aren't you?
A barrel.
Even better.
And if anyone is caught, there's no deniability.
Mm-hmm.
The blowback on the house could be vast.
Mm. Mm.
But yeah, he's saying that he might have a way to get the 5 of you plus Orson inside the warehouse.
I don't know if this
But-
is something we bring Orson on. He's a little loud. If he can show discretion, that might be okay. Though it's a little dangerous for the kind of work that I want to bring him in on. But he's proven himself, I think.
He could get you in, but he has no way to extricate you.
Mm-hmm. And that's a problem.
That would be left to your devices. The good news is, warehouses that are kept under lock and key, usually the guardsmen are on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know what's inside the warehouse. And he has decided to stop poking around in that business.
He hasn't been any more successful than we have, in other words.
He doesn't see a great deal of profit in it. From his perspective, like, you guys poked your noses somewhere, you got yourselves snubbed, you could probably just leave it at that.
And just never know who's trying to kill us. I mean, we could make inferences, but we don't know whose fingers were involved, whose
Or
hand
at
was
least-
involved.
He shakes his
Not
head.
not so much killing us, but making us out to be the villains of a situation.
And you can see he's a little bit of frustration across his face. I see that Nigel's sons and daughters, nieces and nephews are in fact Nigel's sons and daughters and nieces and nephews.
That's something I've had to make my peace with as well.
Nigel never properly learned the lesson. You're going to go forward with many enemies during your time in Brennanine, just because of the name you carry and the banner on your standard. He leans forward on the table as he says this. This is clearly not a conversation anybody else is supposed to overhear.
Mm-hmm. Stevie will lean in.
If you take it upon yourselves to ride into every shadow that bends your direction, you will spend your whole life riding, and eventually you will bend too far. I can do this thing for you as a favor, but I would ask that it be the last connection that I have to this Longchin business. I have other devices in Brennanine I would like to spend my resources and time on.
We can discuss this with our companions to decide if it is the correct way forward.
He nods.
I have another question for you. This seems like the kind of business you might hear about. Do you know of someone named Crucius who is selling magic in the city?
He's heard the name, but he doesn't Hasn't met the person personally.
It's like we've had some dealings with them, but I'd like to know more.
He shrugs. He might be able to ask around and find out.
Well,
It's not a high priority.
if you do, then by all means get word to us.
He nods. Is that the
one other thing that might be of interest to you, something is going on with the Ambersons right now. We don't know what yet.
He shrugs. He tells you they're paid up for my services to the end of the month. I see no reason to trouble myself with them tonight.
Just want to get you some forewarning. Next time you go there, they might not. I can't tell, but whatever, it's big enough that the speaker is involved.
Their fop of a son cut off a charming date with her sister over some developing situation.
Yes, I had heard that you made the acquaintance of Speaker Amberson's nephew.
He seems a
And
charming
he chuckles at that. I had made the comparison. Yes.
So Valeria looks disinterested in this Amberson stuff.
Okay.
And if
Fair
there's
enough.
no more pressing conversation, he just turns back to more polite, jovial conversation, calls for another pitcher to be brought over, and regales you with text messages that I'm receiving, apparently. Sorry about
And
that.
a job change.
No, he's a white mage. And the rest of the conversation is, he keeps it nice and light and friendly. And then we can move on to Victor, sitting all by himself at the wharf. I imagine kicking
Waiting.
his little legs over the edge,
Yep, holding the fishing pole, waiting for Ekon to come push him in again.
which he does 6 times, and it's funny every time.
It's funnier and funnier.
See, you're definitely within 100 feet of basically every surface in the inn, and after a few moments with a little trial and error, you get the spider underneath a door into a well-lit room where Speaker Amberson is sitting with a lot of his advisors, and many people sitting in this room are very important. The girls are not there. Trieste and Donique are not there, but Abernathy is. And Abernathy is sitting kind of off to the side. There's a table in the center of the solar, surrounded by chairs. The speaker is sitting at the head of the table. There's food on the table, but it's barely been touched. His advisors are sitting to his left and right at each hand. Abernathy is sitting he's pulled his chair against the wall, and his head is in his hands, and he is trembling badly. The other people in the room who are not of House Abernathy that you would recognize. There's somebody there, a man that you don't recognize, but is wearing the colors of House Oleander, who would represent the High Speaker. There are a pair of Athars there, a man and a woman, probably of low standing inside of the church, people that you also don't recognize. You do recognize the High Tradesman, Hrilgar Van Hild. He's an old friend of Nigel's. He's probably been around the estate once or twice. And he's sitting directly to the speaker's right. The discussion is military in nature, and the topic of the discussion is that Nornir has fallen.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't a military attack. They did not march soldiers up the coast. They did not bring ships into port. It wasn't black sails on the horizon. An emissary from Endeline arrived in Nornir, made demands of the governor that no one at the table here was privy to. The governor would have been another of Abernathy's uncles. The emissary left, and 2 days later, the ocean rose up and struck Nornir with such violence that Air's eye was toppled into the sea, and its light, which has stood for hundreds of years, was extinguished.
You mean Mindolin?
Nornir is the capital city of Mendelin. Mendelin is
Okay.
the name of this province.
Gotcha.
That
Okay.
encompasses this part of the coasts, and then a long chain of islands reaching out into the ocean.
Gotcha.
So this is someone taking the most recognizable icon of the Republic and just crushing it.
To hear the reports coming out of Nornir,